Gandhara has provided commendable services to the cause of the Buddhist religion, art, architecture, and literature. In the era of its prosperity, many Buddhist pilgrims from the distant lands visited different Buddhist monasteries of the Gandhara in search of the Buddhist scriptures. British soldiers brought Mahabharata and the Ramayana into this side of the Indus during a military campaign, which resulted in developing this concept. The first scientific excavation at the site of Takht-I-Bahi was conducted by the curator, Peshawar Museum, and Superintendent Archaeological Survey of India, Dr. D.B. Spooner, in 1907, following the recommendations of the then Director General of Archaeology of India, Sir John Marshall, and the work was continued on the site till 1911, during which many priceless pieces of the Buddhist sculptures were recovered from this site. Towards the eastern end of this historic site, the main ruins of the monastery are situated, a bit lower than the crest of the hill on the ridge to the north. The ruins are about 500 feet above the plain. The ruins are scattered altogether in a mile from east to west along the peak. The monastic ruins of Takht-I-Bahi are composed of a monastery, the main stupa, the court of many stupas, the assembly hall, the courtyard, the court of 3 stupas, the wall of colossi, and the secular buildings. The enclosure of the monastery has its main entrance to the south. There was kept another entrance open to the extreme south behind the hills. Studying the foundation walls of the Takht-I-Bahi has revealed that it was a strongly fortified town in its bright days. A renowned village of Sarai Bahlol is located just at a distance of 2.5 miles on extensive mound from Takht-I-Bahi. That's why an entrance was kept on the extreme south. So the people from Sarai Bahlol used to come Takht-I-Bahi, crossing the hills, and they brought with them food and other offerings for the monks, nuns, and other staff members of the monastery. The court of many stupas lying on the southern side of the complex. This is a court of the many stupas of small sizes. The 3 sides of this court are attached to the lofty chapels, and all these 3 sides are also connected to the courts of the monastery and the main stupa, which are lying at a higher ground than the court of the many stupas. The court of many stupas contains about 35 votive stupas, a dedication by the pilgrims to the monastery. These votive stupas were once adorned with the stucco pilaster, which was employed to decorate them with the narrative reliefs. Reliefs were surmounted by a cornice, while each relief was separated from the other with the help of a Corinthian pilaster. All this decoration has now been mostly vanished. All of these votive stupas have a square plinth except 2, of which one has a circular and the other has an octagonal plinth. It has 8 oogie arches on each side for holding sculptures. On the east, north, and south of this court are walls, some 25 to 30 feet high. These are the walls that contain about 30 chapels of different sizes, each one facing the court. The roof of these chapels has fallen. It's quite possible that their roof was more like a dome. They were once displaying the statue of Buddha. The area, which is identified as a monastery of this secular structure, is located just to the north of the court of the many stupas. A flight of 5 steps provides access to it. During the course of excavations, not much sculptural remains were recovered from the monastery. This was previously expected due to the reason that the monastery is not naturally a portion of a convent, where the recovery of the sculpture was to be expected. Just some fragments of the sculptures were recovered from this monastic quadrangle, including a beautiful sculpture of Siddhartha that was in the pots. The monastic quadrangle is 62 feet square inside. It has some 15 cells on all of the 3 sides.